Step back in time and relive the magic of Rio Bravo, one of the greatest Western classics ever made. Join us as we take a fascinating look at the legendary cast, from John Wayne to Dean Martin, and see how these Hollywood icons have changed over the decades. Where are they now? What became of their careers and lives after the film? Featuring rare photos, fun facts, and surprising updates, this video is a nostalgic tribute no movie fan should miss. John Wayne, who portrayed Sheriff John T. Chance in Rio Bravo, was 51 during the film's production. His portrayal of the fearless, no-nonsense lawman became iconic, symbolizing classic Western stoicism. Despite his immense fame, Wayne's personal life was riddled with turmoil. He was married 3 times, first to Josephine Saenz, with whom he had 4 children, then to Esperanza Bauer, whose jealousy and alcohol issues created chaos, and finally to Pilar Palit, a union that endured in name only as they quietly separated in the 1970s. His relationships with his children were distant due to his long absences. After Rio Bravo, Wayne's health deteriorated with a lung cancer diagnosis in 1964, followed by stomach cancer that led to his death on June 11, 1979, at 72. He battled depression during his final years, haunted by political controversy, declining strength, and alienation from Hollywood. Despite this, he remained a national symbol of rugged masculinity. At his death, his estate was estimated at $7 million, though much was lost to medical expenses and failed investments. Wayne died surrounded by few, estranged from many, remembered more as a myth than a man. Dean Martin, who played the troubled deputy dude in Rio Bravo, was 42 in 1959. His nuanced performance of a once proud man ravaged by alcoholism mirrored Martin's own inner demons. Off-screen, Martin's life was a melancholic symphony of charm, addiction, and heartbreak. He was married 3 times, first to Betty McDonald, with whom he had 4 children, then to Jean Beager, mother of 3 more, and finally to Catherine Hahn in a short-lived marriage. His relationships crumbled under the weight of fame, infidelity, and emotional detachment. Following Rio Bravo, Martin experienced career ups and downs, plagued by an increasing dependence on alcohol and painkillers. The tragic death of his son Dean Paul in a 1987 plane crash devastated him, leading him into deep withdrawal. He became reclusive in his final years, declining public appearances and refusing visitors. Dean Martin passed away on Christmas Day, 1995, at 78 from acute respiratory failure. At the time of his death, his estate was estimated at $5 million, though he lived modestly and alone, haunted by the ghosts of laughter lost. Ricky Nelson, who portrayed Colorado Ryan, the youthful gunslinger, was only 19 during filming. His calm, confident demeanor and skill with a gun made him a standout in the ensemble cast. Behind the scenes, Nelson struggled with the burden of early fame from his childhood music and television career. He married Kristen Harmon in 1963, and they had 4 children, Tracy, twins Matthew and Gunnar, and Sam. The marriage disintegrated under the weight of infidelity, drug abuse, and growing resentment. Post-Rio Bravo, Ricky's career faded, and he turned to touring small venues, often battling financial woes and IRS debts. A failed comeback and accusations of drug use further marred his reputation. In a cruel twist, he died in a plane crash on December 31, 1985, at the age of 45 while traveling to a New Year's Eve concert. Investigations cited a fire caused by a malfunctioning heater. His estate, burdened with debt, was valued at only $500,000 at his death. Ricky Nelson's legacy as a teen idol contrasts starkly with the sorrow and struggle that defined his adulthood. Angie Dickinson, who played the vibrant and headstrong Feathers, was 27 during filming. Her performance added a touch of romantic intrigue and feminine resilience to Rio Bravo. Though her career flourished with notable roles throughout the 60s and 70s, Dickinson's personal life bore deep wounds. She married singer Burt Bacharach in 1965, and they had a daughter, Nikki, born prematurely and suffering from autism and visual impairment. Angie devoted herself to Nikki's care, enduring heartbreak as her daughter struggled with mental illness for decades before dying by suicide in 2007. The strain destroyed her marriage, ending in 1981. Despite her outward glamour, Dickinson lived much of her life in emotional isolation, retreating from the spotlight after Nikki's death. Now 93, she lives quietly in Los Angeles, rarely seen publicly. Once a symbol of independence and allure, she now dwells in solitude. Though she was estimated to have a net worth of $10 million at her peak, much was spent on care for her daughter. Her legacy is one of brilliance shadowed by loss and a mother's unyielding love. Walter Brennan, who played the cantankerous yet lovable Stumpy, was 65 in Rio Bravo. A master of character acting, Brennan brought humor and grit to the role. In real life, Brennan was a devout conservative and family man, married to Ruth Wells since 1920, with whom he had 3 children. Although his marriage endured, Brennan became increasingly reclusive and combative in his later years, alienated by Hollywood's changing values. He was vocal in his disdain for the counterculture, earning him a reputation as difficult and intolerant. Health problems, including emphysema, plagued his final years. Despite these setbacks, he continued acting well into the 1970s, though with waning enthusiasm. Brennan died on September 21, 1974, from emphysema at age 80. His estate was valued at approximately $2.5 million, thanks to savvy real estate investments. He was buried far from the Hollywood Hills, on his ranch in Oregon, having long abandoned the industry that made him a legend but which he no longer recognized or trusted. Ward Bond, who portrayed the stalwart Pat Wheeler, was 56 at the time of filming. A reliable supporting actor, Bond's rugged presence lent authenticity to countless westerns. Behind the scenes, Bond lived a lonely and tumultuous life. Married to Dora Sellers Childs from 1936 until his death, their union was marked by intense arguments, Bond's alcoholism, and rumors of infidelity. They had no children, and Bond often buried himself and worked to escape domestic tensions. His staunch political beliefs and combative nature cost him friendships and led to an uneasy reputation in the industry. Just a year after Rio Bravo, he died suddenly from a heart attack on November 5, 1960, at age 57 while attending a football game. His sudden death shocked the industry. Though his career was prolific, Bond left behind an estate of just $400,000. Estranged from many peers, his funeral was a quiet affair, attended by few. Bond's final years were marked by isolation and a gnawing sense that his best work had gone unnoticed in the shadow of bigger stars. John Russell, who played the menacing Nathan Burdett, was 38 during the filming of Rio Bravo. His cold stare and commanding voice made him a memorable antagonist. Off-screen, Russell's career never quite reached leading man status, and after Rio Bravo, he drifted between minor TV roles and forgettable films. He married Renata Titus, and they had 3 children, but the marriage deteriorated under financial stress and Russell's growing reliance on alcohol. After years of separation, they divorced quietly in 1972. Russell's later years were filled with personal disappointments and professional obscurity. He often spoke of feeling trapped in villain roles, unable to break into more complex characters. By the 1980s, he was largely forgotten by the industry. He died of emphysema on January 19, 1991, at age 70, living in relative obscurity. His estate was worth under $300,000, much of it in debt. Though respected by a niche of Western fans, John Russell's career was ultimately a case of unfulfilled potential and personal struggle behind a stoic Hollywood mask. Pedro González, who portrayed the affable hotelier Carlos Robanti, was 32 in 1959. His comic timing and warmth brought levity to Rio Bravo. A trailblazer for Latino representation in Hollywood, Pedro still faced relentless typecasting and discrimination. He married Leandra Garcia, and they had 4 children. While his family remained close, the financial instability of his career put constant strain on their lives. Despite being a beloved character actor, Pedro never broke into major roles, often reduced to comic relief parts. His health declined in the early 2000s due to diabetes-related complications. He passed away on February 6, 2006, at the age of 80. His death marked the end of an uphill battle for recognition in a system that marginalized him. His estate was modest, valued at around $150,000, mostly from residuals and small savings. Though never a household name, Pedro González is remembered as a groundbreaker who fought for visibility in an era that rarely gave it. Estelita Rodriguez, who portrayed Consuelo Robanti, was 31 during Rio Bravo's production. Her charm and elegance brought a quiet strength to her role. Born in Cuba, Estelita began as a promising musical talent before transitioning to film. She married actor Grant Withers, a volatile relationship marred by his heavy drinking and controlling behavior. They divorced after a few tumultuous years, and Estelita was left to raise their daughter, Nina, alone. Her career stalled after Rio Bravo, with studios seeing her as exotic, but not marketable enough. She struggled financially and emotionally, often battling depression. Tragically, she died on March 12, 1966, at just 37. The official cause was influenza, though friends suspected a possible overdose. She left behind an estate worth only $25,000, with little recognition for her work. Estelita Rodriguez's life was one of unfulfilled promise, a talented woman cast aside by an industry that never fully embraced her. Her story remains a sobering reflection on the cost of Hollywood's indifference. Who is your favorite character from Rio Bravo? How does it feel knowing that some of the actors are no longer with us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future uploads. Thank you for your support.